live or travel to Hamilton, Ohio, you have most likely passed under this railroad bridge crossing the Great Miami River countless times. The current bridge we see today is actually the fourth in this location. Perhaps you've wondered why it was built, where it goes, and how long a bridge has been at this location. Well, the story starts in 1848 with the formation of the Junction Railroad Company in Indiana, which was chartered to build a rail line from Rushville, Indiana, to Hamilton, Ohio. The road would eventually enter Indianapolis about 20 years later, but that's a story for a later video. First president of the line was Caleb B. Smith of Connersville, Indiana. Smith, a then 40-year-old attorney and U.S. congressman, would lead the road for only a short time until resigning to accept the post in the administration of President Zachary Taylor. Progress on the road slowed until the appointment of John Woods as president in 1852. Woods had recently left office as Ohio's Auditor of State and was instrumental in arranging the financing of the railroad. The Junction Railroad would consolidate with the Ohio and Indianapolis Railroad in 1853, and for marketing purposes, taking the name of the Cincinnati and Indianapolis Railroad. The first bridge seen here was designed by John S. Earhart, a Hamilton civil engineer who also completed the initial survey of the Junction Railroad from Hamilton to Oxford, which opened in 1859. This bridge was of wood construction with metal sheeting. The location was not ideal for a bridge. A competing railroad, the 4 Mile Valley Railroad, held the preferred right-of-way, thus requiring the Junction Railroad to build through this more challenging terrain, which involved significant elevation changes and additional expense. The organizers of the 4 Mile Valley Railroad would eventually abandon their efforts after completing only a limited amount of construction. Earhart decided the steep elevation into Rossville, now known as West Hamilton, required a high approach from East Hamilton. Thus, an embankment starting at South Front Street and a 655-foot stone viaduct carried the road into Rossville. Shown here is the current bridge that shows that elevation change. The bridge and the 17 stone arches on Hamilton's west side were completed in 1858. The exterior of the stone arches came from the Scott Quarries in Dayton, Ohio, while the interior stone of each arch came from the C.K. Smith farm at the mouth of the 4 Mile Creek near 7 Mile, Ohio. By way of explanation, in 1872, the Junction Railroad was acquired by the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Dayton Railroad and renamed the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Indianapolis Railroad. Still later, the road would be renamed again, becoming the Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Western. However, most of the locomotive power on the road would bear the name of the CH&D. Both the CH&D and the C&W would be acquired by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad in 1909. The Baltimore and Ohio itself would later become a founding member of the Chessie system, which, after the merger with the Seaboard system in 1980, became the current CSX Railroad. Back to our story. The first junction bridge over the Great Miami River in Hamilton was modified by removal of the original metal sheeting and strengthened with additional piers as seen here. However, as the size of railroad locomotives and rolling stock increased, it became hopelessly obsolete and thus was replaced with an iron bridge in November of 1893. The second bridge, built by the Detroit Bridge and Iron Company, was destroyed in the Great Miami River flood of 1913. Seen here is the 1893 bridge collapsing during the flood. The addition of coal and wood chip cars to weigh down the bridge, a common practice during this era of railroading, was insufficient to stop the collapse of the structure. The third bridge, meant to be temporary, was built on wooden pilings to keep traffic on the line moving during the remainder of 1913. Seen here is the construction of the temporary bridge across the Great Miami and Hamilton by the CH&D. In this photograph, we see railroad construction crews, known for their speed and efficiency, were working simultaneously from both sides of the river. To their credit, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, the corporate owner of both the Cincinnati Hamilton and Indianapolis and the Cincinnati Hamilton and Dayton, would pour vast resources into getting both roads operational within weeks of the flood. However, more permanent repairs would take many months to complete. During the reconstruction process, the B&O reached far and wide for replacement components to quickly build the temporary bridge for the Great Miami River. In this photo, we see girders from other parts of the B&O system being used to restore CH&I operations. Amazingly, the building in the background between the two piers not only survived the flood, but is in business today as the Arches Saloon, notably the oldest bar in Hamilton. In turn, the fourth and permanent structure of the current bridge we see today was constructed by the American Bridge Company later in 1913. This three-span, through-truss bridge with riveted connections utilizes the original stone arch viaduct of 1858. It's interesting to note, so pressing was the need for a permanent replacement, that the bridge was opened to rail traffic in January 1914, with only 35% of the riveting used to hold sections of the bridge together having been completed. Railroading of that era was a very much seat-of-the-pants affair. A portion of the original American Bridge and Iron Company builder's plate can be seen at a distance if you have good binoculars. A word to the wise, please do not attempt to step onto the bridge. CSX Railroad Police are not very forgiving of trespassers. Given the difficulty of building replacements for the High Street, Black Street, and Columbia bridges in Hamilton after the 1913 flood, a proposal was made to attach a steel footbridge to this newly completed structure. As noted in the Hamilton Evening Journal, the footbridge would be sufficient for a small child or drunken man to cross safely. According to subsequent reports, the proposed footbridge was never completed. That's a story for yet another video. In the early 1960s, Nealon Boulevard, north of Pershing Avenue, just underneath the eastern portion of the bridge, was widened and rebuilt, necessitating the replacement of the decking on that side of the river. The American Bridge and Iron Company would again be tapped to provide these modifications. If you look in the right spot, the builder's plate for that work can be easily seen. Today, traffic on this bridge is limited to only a few trains per day, most notably the Amtrak Cardinal and a few general merchandise trains due to height restrictions caused by the D and G Street overpasses on Hamilton's west side. The city of Hamilton has been considering demolition of the G Street overpass since 2023. CSX would need the removal of the G Street overpass, seen here in the distance, and an additional 28 inches of clearance underneath the D Street overpass to utilize the line for double-stack container and auto carrier traffic. Be sure to come back to this channel for further videos about the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Dayton Railroad. A companion book to the series, The Wreck of the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Dayton Railway, a pioneering road undone by greed and fraud, can be purchased from the Cincinnati Railroad Club online at cincinnati.rrclub.org. The cost is $49.98. We would like to thank those who contributed photographs to this production, including Dan Finfrock, Dave Orsey, Chuck Carringer, the Butler County Historical Society, the Kraut Collection at Midpoint Library in Middletown, Ohio, the Cummins Collection at Lane Public Library in Hamilton, Ohio, and the Dayton, Ohio Public Library.